What's up, guys? We're back again. How's it going? Today, we're gonna pick up our new series, which is about music and sound design. And basically, it's just gonna comprise of giving tips on how to create music, more especially for film, and also sound design for film. If you're new to this channel, my name is Halloway. I'm a songwriter, composer, filmmaker, and this channel basically is here to kind of give you tips and tricks on how to use what you have and not be bogged down by what you don't. Now, what is sound design? Sound design is kind of a director's third leg. Now, what do I mean by that? It doesn't matter how amazing a picture looks or what camera you use and how beautiful the grading is. If the sound design is whack, it kind of leaves something to be desired because I feel sound design is such an integral part of kind of creating that 3D pop in storytelling. I mean, I would know I'm a director. There's a weird school of thought that still kind of sees sound design as an afterthought. And coming from where I'm from and working in Nigeria for years, I have seen how people just are more concerned about the quick turnovers. Like now you're seeing the new trend is like people doing YouTube channels and doing like drama series. And while there are really good ones I've seen, I also noticed that there are a couple of people who just do a quick cut edit and the sound is so bad. But hopefully today we're going to be able to demonstrate and prove that sound design is not just something that you just drop and go like that. There is a big difference when you spend some time to give that effort to create things that just make your story pop through sound design and music in other cases. So, what's the game plan? For you to do sound design, you need to have a game plan. Otherwise, you're just going to be all over the place. I have like a simple game plan that I use. First of all, do your diagnostics. Look at the scene of whatever you need to do the sound design for, run it through and make notes. You could be like a note app. Everybody has a note app, whether you're on Android or you're on Apple. Just get like your general note app and make notes of what the scene is for whatever scenes you're doing. Or if you like me, you like to write things down, you can use your sticky note thing and just make some notes while you're at it. But whatever the case is, I think it's actually nice when you can write things down. I kind of just put them in bullet points so you know that you're not missing anything. And then if you get any other inspiration later, that's a bonus. Next, when you have your diagnostics, you're now going to now go out, book a Foley studio and go there, get all the stuff you need in the sound stage and the pits and record each and every sound one by one to do your project. I know. In an ideal world, when you have unlimited budgets and you have all the time in the world, that is what you do. I actually had kind of a compressed experience of that in Sheridan College last year. And it's actually a beautiful process where you go into this room and you see like a car door leaning in one corner and you have different types of mics. You have different things that are not even necessarily what you want, but these things can be improvised with sounds and mixed with different things. You do footsteps with sand, different textures of gravel. The whole concept of sound design when you're doing it in its unlimited form is actually cool. But in a real world situation, when you're dealing with a small project with zero budget, you ain't gonna have time for that. Neither would you have the money to do that. And this is where Soundly comes in. Soundly is an online sound effects library that hosts thousands of high quality sound effects. It has a very user friendly interface with a really nice search. And you can even use thesaurus. So let's say you search for a word like aeroplanes, it will also search for planes, aircraft, and anything that has to do with flying. So just in case your wording is different, it just makes things easy to find. The library is constantly growing. They're categorizing things. All in all, I really like the way it's implemented. There's even like support for DAWs. And it's actually a breath of fresh air when you can have all your sounds in one place. Because back in the day, after we've exhausted Logic Sounds, we go into the internet and we try to just scour different banks, and sometimes that can make your workflow very messy, and it's not just an efficient way to work. I was introduced to Soundly actually last year when I was in Sheridan College by my head of project, Charlie, and I never looked back since. So when I was about to do this video, naturally I was like, oh, I'm going to use Soundly to demonstrate some sound design. But then I realized that I'm not a student anymore, so my license is obviously expired. And then I had a thought that, maybe I should just approach Soundly and tell Soundly, hey, I'm doing like a sound design thing and I'm going to be exhibiting Soundly. Can you guys send me a license? And to my surprise, they did. And special thanks to Petra. Petra was the person in Soundly that I spoke to, and Petra was very helpful. And I sent him my YouTube channel, and within a couple of days, he hit me up and said, oh, we'd love to do like a little support and collaboration with you. So while no money exchanged hands, and this is not a sponsored video by Soundly, I am just grateful to Soundly for supporting my channel, even though I'm just a baby with 500 subscribers. So the natural progression, step 3, would be to kind of just balance things out, because when you bring sounds in and everything is just on the same level, you're not going to get the feel of the depth. Sometimes you might even use reverb and some effects just to create a more dynamic 3D effect with your sound to tell a great story. All right, let's get cracking and demonstrate some stuff now. The footage we're going to use as an illustration today is a short film I worked on sometime last year. I did the sound design and the final mix, amongst other things. So let's just have a look at that and excerpt context. We have a character walking out of a house, urgently kind of going to a pharmacy. Her son's inhaler is finished, and her son has asthma. So she's realizing that, oh, his inhaler is empty and he's gone to play basketball. So she had to run to the pharmacy to pick up a new inhaler and potentially meet her son or something. So we're going to watch it a few times, do our diagnostics, and see what we need in terms of sound. At the moment, it has nothing under it. So let's just play that and watch through from the beginning. So pretty much she comes out, goes into the car, and drives off. Cut. Now, as a sound designer with a footage that has virtually nothing, you have to now think, how do we make this come alive? There are different elements. So let's play again from the top, and then I can talk through them as I see them. First one is the environment. This looks like a suburban environment. So this is actually a good time for us to make our notes. Tutorial. I can't spell. It's good to use the checklist so that you can kind of put your point. So first thing, environment. So we're going to look for ambience, suburb. What was the second thing we saw? She was walking and she had lady shoes. So we're going to look for footsteps, but she had heels basically. So let's look for lady shoes conventionally with heels. And what else did she do? She had her car keys. Okay, car keys, jingle. Also, she has the fob. She pressed the fob, right? So you're gonna expect the little car pump, the pump. Let me write pump. Maybe it'll come up. I know. I try to have fun while I do these things. She opened the car door. So let's have car door open, and she did close the car door. I'll say open slash close, ignition, and engine start. We can just put that as 1, so that as we're looking for ignition, we're looking at engine start. And she drove off. So car driver. All right, so let's just look at it again and see if there's anything we're missing from top. Comes out, clocks, clack, cluck, clack. She does the pop. She opens the door. She closes the door. She sits inside the car. She cha-na-na-na-nas, and she drives off. Yeah. So I think we have everything. If there's anything I would add, is I know that when she's in the car, you would, while it's in reality shooting from outside in and she closes the door, you might not hear everything happening. But in terms of filmmaking, some of the things that you do, you accentuate the action, even though technically in real life, if you were standing at the proximity, you were standing watching that person enter the car. And when she enters the car, you might not even hear much. But I think sometimes you would hear the mechanics of the car in terms of when she's putting things into gear, stepping on the pedals or maybe the brakes before she turns the key, and even the whole key jingle within the car to turn the key. I think it would be a missed opportunity if we don't add that there. So let's just add that there for excellence and perfectionist's sake. All right, that's my own secret. That just gives me the edge. Car, internal, mechanics, key, gear, shift. Now, the reason why I'm writing it like this is so that I'll remember. You don't need to write all that. Back into Logic. Let's just bring that back out. I know it's just daunting having to bring that out all the time. Normally, I'll open it on another screen, but because I'm screen recording, it won't capture I have 3 screens. It won't capture my 3 screens together. All right. So now that we have our diagnostics done, let's start getting the sounds. So we're going to Soundly. Soundly. So this is Soundly. First one was ambience, right? Ambience, suburb. Let's see what comes up. Of course it's not going to come up. I said susburn. And you can't spell. Ambient suburb. Let me use my headphones for this so I can hear and we don't play out loud. Not bad. Okay, this one has more birds in it. This one sounds more big town. Ambience town, village birds, car passing, slow. Not bad. This one is more crickety night. So that's the thing. We're spoiled for choice now. There's so much here. So let me not be over nitpicky. Let me use the ambience, suburban, quiet bird, light traffic, Scandinavia. I think that kind of represents kind of a highbrow area, you know, and I think that should work. So let's use this. We can either click and drag on a channel, or the beauty of Soundly, it has this tool here which basically lets you just click it and it goes into your door that you open, or you can just press S. So as long as you choose the channel you want it, I'll put it on channel 1. Back in Soundly, and I press S, it just drops it in there. Now what it did is it dropped the whole thing. I can just drag as much as I want. I think that's a better way to do it, so I don't drag the whole audio file based on what my scene requires, right? And I can press S, and that should take me straight into Logic, my own door of choice, and it's already loaded it there. So now we have some ambience. Nice. And we can create a new track. Just press duplicate track. Also, good practice is name your tracks, especially when you're dealing with different sound banks and different sound effects. You don't want to have a project of sometimes 20 tracks, but then you don't know what each track is doing, and then you're just seeing all these audio files and stuff. It just gets really stressful. So for me, with my ADHD, I like to name things and even color things. So the first one, we just put ambience. The second one we want to do, let's work on those footsteps. All right. Okay, so back into Soundly. Oh, by the way, I'm using the Command tab. That just brings all the stuff instead of looking at the icon. I think it's just the fastest way within a bad way. We said we wanted lady footsteps, right? So let's say lady human footsteps. That one is a running one. We want something with a bit more heels because she looks like she has like a little buck heels on there. Linoleum, no, an asphalt, close, but it feels a bit. No, that's running. Don't worry, I'll speed up this part for you so you don't get bored. So I've seen a couple really good ones, even some with some form of automation in there, but I'm gonna pick the one without automation for a reason I'll tell you later. Also, I realized I saw some that had some draggy legs on it. I feel that's a good little sweetener that we can use. So I'm gonna grab one for the major movement, and I'm gonna drag bits of a draggy leg. So this is the draggy leg one. I like what's happening here. Play that. Yeah, so we can add that one there anyway, because I feel that that's an element we can add towards the end, like when she reaches the car, you know, when she pauses to enter the car. You see, that's how we think. Let's just duplicate this track, another footsteps, and then we can add the main one there, which I saw, which was maybe just select from here, about there, and add that one, S. So let's just try and fit that in. All right, spend some time just seeing how we can make that work. Obviously not in sync, but you're already seeing the life it brings into the scene. So we need to really look at it frame by frame. So we're getting that ta 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 down the stairs. So we need to cut that and create something there. Let's see. Tap, tap, tap. Push that in. See what we can do there. Tap, tap, tap. We need that ta ta ta. Close, almost. That's actually cool. That's actually cool. So we need one more to just do the tap. So we can cut that one too. I love this stuff. It really feels amazing. So tap, 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 tap. Running from top. Yeah, the tap, 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 tap is good. So now we start with the major steps. Let's see how that joins in. Okay, we need to now catch that. Tap, 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 tap. Okay, so this should come in a bit forward. Let's see. Okay, tap, 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 tap. Bring that a bit forward. And put a snap off. Sometimes when you put the snap off, it just makes you have a more fine movement. Okay. Now there's a way to do the time stretching thing, but I also feel that can add its own complexities. It's good to just cut things later and then you can just clean up your audio. It is just a better way to work, in my opinion. Ta 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 ta. This one needs to be shortened. This one needs to come in. Ta ta ta. This guy needs to come forward. Okay, we're making progress, guys. So just a few more steps before she goes to the car. Aha. So from here, I think we can introduce that secret sauce that we downloaded, which was the kind of the foot drag thing. Let's bring it down here. Since we're still working on footsteps, that can work. Let's see if we have any dynamics with these ones in there. You know? Yeah, so that little... Let's see how this one sounds. Maybe this will be a better one, the second one. The second one has more sauce on it. All right, let's use that second one. Bring it in like so. I think the first slip gives the character I need. Let me just check if this was the one. Yeah, it was the first one. So let's use this one. I feel it's organic and natural enough without being too accentuated. Great. I think we're there. Let's watch from the top. I think that's our footsteps. The car key jingle. Yeah, I remember the car key jingle. So let's look for that. Car key jingle, object, key. Here's that's a vehicle style. We'll come back to that. Key jingle, the first one. So that's it there. Drops it at the marker. Of course, now we just have to put it through. The jingling happens kind of all through. Let's see the best place to put it. Yeah, so it's about there. We just need to, push it in a bit quicker. Let's see. Aha. So because it's still moving, the first part works, but I feel it just stops abruptly like that. And the sample itself doesn't go as far. So I would recommend maybe we just add another sample in there. Yeah, so let's use this one. Let's use this one. Yeah, I like what this one is doing. So we can just trim that, can bring that in. Let's see how that looks in our grand scheme of things. That works. For me, that now accentuates the tail end of the key jingles and just makes it more natural. We don't need this other part. Actually, we could use that because speaking of, we're hearing things even as she goes into the car. That could be something we can tidy up later, but let's just leave it rough like that for this first part. Okay, next thing, she opens the car door. I think that's the next best thing. Key, she opens the door and goes in, boom, and closes the door. So let's deal with the door now. Vehicle car door, BMW 530i. It's not a BMW, but let's see, German car doors just sound nice. Okay, so they give you the open and close. That's really cool. If you open a car door, you want to close it. That's really interesting. I just realized that they're putting like keyframe things to move certain effects. Soundly, you're amazing. I never knew you're doing this. It's real upgrades, man. Yeah, let's just use this because there's 6 million ways for a car to open and close in terms of the sound. So again, good practice. Always remember. I'll tell you what, let me just drop a couple of tracks already. On car door, that's the one we want. The opening part is actually there. It's cool. We could just move that maybe just a little bit forward. I see. Of course, the shotting is too early, so we can just sync that to the bum about there. Let's see. Okay, a bit late. Not bad. Should we shift that? This is me being nitpicky now. All right, let's see. I think that's fine. Let's watch from top again. Yeah, I think that's cool. I like that. I like that. Hope you guys are enjoying this. Like and subscribe as we do this because this is great stuff. If you want to see more stuff like this in my music and sound design series, yeah, let's go. Let's go. This is fun. What was our next plan? Get you out of the way. We've got the key jingles now. We've got the fob. We didn't do the fob. We went to the door, you see? That's why it's good to have a checklist. So let's do the checklist. Bam, that's done. Footsteps are done. Key jingles are done. We haven't done the pump yet, but we've done the open and close. So now we're at the car key fob. All right, so let's do that. Let's look for car key fob. Car key fob. Beep vehicle car wireless. Hmm. Hmm. You know what? It's all right. Like, it might not be how I would have loved the car to sound, but that's how cars sound generally. So I think open is 1, close is 2. Yeah, whatever. It's supposed to be there. So we want that whip there, about there. Let's see. Okay, we're late, so it needs to come forward. I'm actually happy with that. So I think the natural progression is this our car mechanics internal. So she's in the car now. Obviously there's some movement in there. Let's see how we can accentuate that with these sound effects. And then we can even go and get more if we feel we need it. Yeah, because when the door opens, it will do the bong thing, the bong bong. And normally, I think the bong is supposed to stop after the door closes, right? So let's play with that. She closes the door, the bong stop. It could just be in my universe, I don't know. But let's just do that. Again, we're accentuating something here in the scene. Oop, boom. And then, so no more bong. Let's see what else is there. So in that, we're getting the whole checking the gear, pressing on the pedal. We need some of that mechanic sound in there now. Let's see. It's good, but it's too late because we haven't even got the engine ignition sound yet. So it has to technically come quite quickly. So let's see if that little cluck. does something in there. Yeah, so that should be cluck, 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 boom. All right. Is there any other thing that we can do there? Key in the ignition. Let's find that. I think that would accentuate well with what's happening here. This little moment. So the key ignition should have its own jingles or stuff in it already. I'm sure it's not just ta-na-na, you hear ta-na-na. I'm just guessing. Soundly, blow me away. All right, so let's go into Soundly and check for that. Vehicle, car, Skoda. Nope, doesn't really have that pre thing in there. Okay, I see vehicle mechanics. But they're starting the car from inside. But I like the mechanic sound though. You get what I'm saying? So it has the mechanic sound, the hand stuff touching and all, but they're giving you a perspective if you were videoing from like inside the windscreen. But we want from outside. But that's the thing. You have to think about. So this is beautiful. This is beautiful. So let's just take this section and drop that in our door. And it was around here, right? We can just layer that as like a layered thing. Let's see how that sounds. Let's just open that big so you can see it from top. Yeah, that's cool. So I can bring that hair because I feel when she looked, that's when she touches the gear knob and, you know, does the thing. Let's see. Yes, that works. This section really works now. So at that click, we need cha-na-na-na from outside ambience. Fantastic. Are you being entertained? Let's go. We've got the pump, and now we want the car ignition start from outside. Let's go. Car ignition outside. I see if that brings my search a bit narrower. Car ignition BMW. That's an outside sound. Yeah, BMW is fine. I like that. It's got more heft to it. Then I think it has a drive up there too. I like that. I think that would be a killing two birds with one stone kind of scenario. So after the this is it. Okay, that can come a bit later. Later. So it works for an ignition, but I realized that based on the cut between the ignition, obviously it's edit. There's nothing wrong with edit in that regard. Or based on that cut, we need to jump straight into the transition of the car zooming off. So we need to trim that. The ignition needs to be fast and fade out. So let's just put that as another track so it's just easy to manipulate. And that will be the rollout or drive off, depending on what you want to call it. Drive off. Okay, so we can bring this other section down here. So we just have that now, like so, to drive off. Let's see how that sounds. Nope. Nope. Let's we want the boo from here. Let's see. One more time. One more time. Okay. Again, it's quite quick. It's quick, but that basically does it. So, if you're thinking that this is finished, then you need to be flogged. No, it's not finished. So what I've just done is the preliminary stage. Get the samples, kind of do a rough sync to tell a story. However, this is give or take about, I'll say 50% done. The reason why it's 50% done is we need to finesse certain things. We also need to do things like a bit of EQ to just manage some of the frequencies so things are not just sticking out. We also need to level some things because the truth is things need to be louder, things need to be calmer, and certain frequencies just need to be muffed a bit. It's quite nitpicky and technical, but it would be a great thing for a second episode. So we're going to leave this one there. But the moral of the story is there's a lot to be said about sound design when you take a simple scene that was bare bones and naked like this, and with just a little thought and some samples, not even mixed and mastered or finessed yet, you get something like this. Yep. So that is the beauty of the magic of sound design. I've had fun doing this. Let me know again in the comments below if this is something you enjoy or you want to see more tips and tricks. And like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you would even be notified when I'm doing the next video that picks up from here when we're doing like the finessing and mastering and stuff. It's been amazing. I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me and let's do it again soon. Peace.